active team, so if you've got an interest in the RAF or in military aircraft, then you can join the fans here with the roulette.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Royal Australian Air Force roulette's flying in a nice tight wedge formation for our grand opening, the quarter clover and fly past. You can see that roulette leader, squadron leader Paul Henry is taking the team now in a really large, what we call quarter clover. It's sort of half a barrel roll, and he'll then bring the aircraft down to 250 feet above the ground, so only about 79, 80 metres above the ground, and probably a speed of about 500 kilometres an hour. Wow. Make sure you give them a wave as they go past.
Wave.
The roulettes are based at RAF Base East Sale, which is only about a 2.5, 3 hour drive from where we are now, and it only took us about half an hour to fly here this morning.
So how quick is jet?
You see the team are now positioned for their offset loop, and then they'll do a steep turn. And basic formation flying is something that we all learn very early on in our military careers. And what we are seeing today in the formation aerobatics is just an extension of that. Watch now for the offset loop and fly past. Probably notice the smoke coming from the back of their exhaust. That's simply a paraffin oil mix that we just inject from a tank in the back of the aircraft into the hot exhaust where it vaporises. You'll probably notice that after it's come out of the aircraft, it's actually moving across quite quickly. There's probably about 25 to 30 knots, so probably about 50 to 60 kilometres of wind where the guys are flying there at about 250 feet. It's actually quite bumpy, but the guys are so professional you'd never know. Right now in the steep turn, each team member is pulling up to 4G, which means 4 times the force of gravity. Given that a pilot and his gear can weigh upwards of 100 kilograms, each of those members in the pilot seat is weighing over 400 kilograms and still maintaining the aircraft in a nice tight wedge formation. As I stated a little bit earlier, each of the members is a qualified flying instructor, and this is actually just their weekend job. During the week, each of them is teaching already qualified pilots in the Air Force and the Navy and the Army how to become flying instructors. The team are now positioning for the 6-pack fly past. This one's my favourite fly past because it resembles my favourite thing in the world, which is a 6-pack of beer. You can see roulettes 2 and 3 flying the very difficult line abreast position next to roulette 1. It's an incredibly difficult position where they must maintain their aircraft completely perpendicular to the leaders and looking directly over their shoulders. Given that they can pull up to 4G doing a loop in that formation, you'll notice the strain that they'll get on their neck, and so we do a lot of exercises and practice to make sure that we're up for the task when we're flying. The team's now gone into the twin Vic formation, getting ready for the the box loop and split. Watch carefully, ladies and gentlemen, as roulette 5 and 6, or the synchro pair led by Flight Lieutenant Lockie Hazeldine, will actually turn toward each other and miss by no more than 2 to 3 metres. Roulettes 1 through 4 complete that nice tight box loop, as roulettes 5 and 6 will each perform a half lazy and start a head-to-head run against each other of closing speeds of over 1,000 kilometres an hour.
Here they go. Wow. Look, here they're coming. Here he comes again.
So you see roulette 5 and 6 now coming head-to-head each other, getting ready for the roulette wheel. 5 and 6 be turning upwards of 5 Gs in this, and this is actually the display position that our whole team is named after. So this is the roulette wheel. It was performed by one of the first teams back in the 1970s, and it's been a fixture in our flights ever since. You see those guys really don't have too much separation between aircraft. With a lot of professionalism and practice, they get it right.
That's right.
Coming from behind there, you've got roulettes 1 through 4. They're in the T formation now. They're going into a loop, and watch roulettes 2 and 3. They're actually going to change formation while flying the loop. So they've just gone from the T formation and they're moving into the box formation now.
Come again, Stevie. Straight towards us.
As I said a bit earlier on, Squadron Leader Paul Henry is the leader of the team. This is his 6th season in the roulettes and his 2nd as the leader, and he has over 5,000 military flying hours. He was a C-130 pilot for many years before becoming an instructor and then into the roulettes. Roulette 2 is Flight Lieutenant Chuck Manning, also a C-130 pilot. This is his very first year in the roulettes and his first display as Roulette 2.
Do you want to keep looking, or do you want to go look at
See from the right now, roulettes 5 and 6 coming in for the spectacular roulette mirror, where roulette 5 will be inverted and be flying directly above roulette 6.
He's upside
As I said a bit earlier on, there's no tricks or no faking this. Roulette 5 is directly above roulette 6.
Got blown off, didn't he?
Roulettes 1 through 4 now coming in the right for the roulette corkscrew. This is a great manoeuvre where roulette 1 will be inverted and roulette 4 will fly corkscrews around the rear of the formation. Roulette 4 is Flight Lieutenant Dion Courtney today, and this is his first year in the roulettes and his first public display. You can see he's knocking it out of the park on that one.
And for their first display, it's all right.
Flying in the Roulette 3 aircraft today is Flight Lieutenant Andrew Robinson. This is his 2nd year in the team. He comes from a P3 background down in Adelaide, and he has over 3,600 military flying hours. Shortly from behind, roulettes 5 and 6 will be pulling up for the Roulette Heart. This is a favourite for all the lovers out there. You'll notice the Roulette 6 is flying a difficult line abreast formation to Roulette 5 as they pull up, about a 4G pull up there. They're going to turn, put the smoke on and draw a love heart in the sky. This love heart's dedicated to my little helper today, Eliza Vizard, who's been helping me out with all my activities as Roulette 7. Now to the left of crowd, you'll see roulettes 1 through 4 pulling up for the ripple rolls. This is a series of timed rolls that are called by the lead. And I might actually put the microphone on the radio here so you can see the kind of things that Roulette 1 is saying to his team. And you'll notice that while Roulette 1 was completing his roll, he was calling the rest of the team to do so on theirs as well. Shortly from behind, Roulette 5 is going to put on a bit of a solo performance for you. Roulette 5 is Flight Lieutenant Lockie Hazeldine. He's coming now into a nice and tight steep turn, pulling up to 6G and weighing upwards of 600 kilograms. He's then going to pull the aircraft around for a slow loop, and you'll see the brilliant performance and agility of the PC-9, and just look how small he keeps this loop. He'll make it nice and close to the crowd. Right there, Lockie's flying the aircraft to the very edge of the performance envelope, very close to that stall we talked about early on, and you give him a wave as he comes back over the crowd. From the left now, you see the team is coming in the Card 5 formation. They're going to do a loop in this. Again, Roulette 2 doing a loop in that very difficult line abreast formation. This one is dedicated to Squadron Leader Phil Dunn. He was the original Roulette 1, Roulette leader, and he was the first one to lead the team back in 1970. as I said, the roulettes were just started in 1970 to celebrate 50 years of the Royal Australian Air Force, which was the 1971 display. But they weren't, in fact, the first display team that the Air Force had. That honour goes to the Red Sails, and they flew Vampire jet aircraft. They were shortly reformed. They were formed in 1962 and shortly reformed in 1963 as the Telstars, again in the Vampires. In 1968, the Telstars switched to the Mackie aircraft, and then in 1970 the roulettes were formed, and they've been a permanent fixture in the skies above Australia ever since. The team's now positioning for the rollbacks, where the outside members of the formation will roll up and away before rejoining into the rear of the formation. Not only does this look spectacular, it also serves as putting us into a different formation called the Vulcan. I'll let R1 talk you through it. You can see as they've moved up and away and rejoined the rear of the formation, the team's moved from the wedge formation into the Vulcan in preparation for the Vulcan barrel roll. This one is particularly difficult for roulettes 5 and 6 given how far they are actually from the leader's aircraft. Roulette 6 requires a whole sequence of coordinated control inputs to maintain his aircraft in position, because he is a long way from the leader's aircraft and the geometry is such that the aircraft doesn't quite have enough power, so as he comes over the top he has to position his aircraft in preparation for that. Watch now for the Vulcan barrel roll. What you can't see, ladies and gentlemen, is it's actually very, very bumpy up there today. But the guys are pulling off without a hitch, staying in that nice tight formation and getting ready for their final manoeuvre. If you'd like to find out more about the roulettes, you can always hit us up on our Facebook page. We love getting messages, we love seeing photos, we love seeing posts. And if you'd love to learn more about the Air Force in general or a job as a pilot in the Defence Force, of course you can go to defencejobs.gov.au or call 13 1901. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure to be here today. Certainly a wonderful crowd. And we've really enjoyed being here. We've really enjoyed putting our first display on to the season. I'd just like to say thank you and have a great day from the Royal Australian Air Force Roulettes.
Years ago, he was the best when he used to yell, "Bombers go!"
Give another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, if you hang around, the guys are going to come.